What up guys? Today I got something different. I'm actually doing a package design challenge. If you've been watching Young Guns on the Future, they got a cool challenge on there that the guys had to actually create a packaging and redesign it. And then Matthew Encina did a video on the Future Academy channel recently, and he did the packaging design in one day, which is pretty cool. So I thought to myself, why not I try to do that as well? So what I actually got, I went to Woolworths and I got this cool noodle packaging. Hopefully you guys can see that. And you can see I kind of like the packaging. I found it, but it didn't really stand out on the shelf. As you can see there, it's like pork noodles, instant noodles. You can see it's very basic, but you know, the type is not that good and it looks you know, fairly basic and just slapped on there. So I feel like I can change this up and make it look more premium, look more better. I'm thinking I might actually change the packaging and experiment with that instead of just having this standard like bucket type of look. But yeah, so I'm gonna record the process and see what we come up with. And I was doing a bit of research and I found Sanyo Foods, and the product on the packaging, it actually says it's from Taiwan. So it says product of Taiwan here. But yeah, if I looked up Ichiban Delicious, couldn't really find anything on it, but Ichiban is like from Japan. But I found Sanyo Foods, so they have like Japan and they have one in America and stuff like that. And they've been around since 1953. So they have a bit of heritage there. So whether I retain that in the actual packaging, I have to decide that. But you can see some of the flavors and those noodles have been taken from back then. They started in Japan. Which is pretty interesting. So I've scanned a bit of the packaging in. I went online, I found some mock-ups, found a bit of imagery, sort of getting a bit of a mood and a style to see what direction I want to take their packaging. So the first few sites that I did check out was Unsplash and Pexels. I also love going on Pinterest as well. So I started looking at imagery because the photography on the actual package wasn't looking appetizing, so I tried to find a picture of ramen that I could use. I did end up finding one that was alright, and I just edited it in Photoshop and cut it out. But I was looking for different inspiration, looking at food, you know, looking at colors and some packaging and stuff. And then after that, I went on to sketching. So I started sketching some layouts, how I was going to place the typography, how could I incorporate, you know, the original color and not going too high class, but you know, just uplifting that packaging. And then after that, I started looking at mockups online, went on to like places like Creative Market, started looking on Envato as well for some specific packaging. I did have mockups already, but I realized I originally was thinking if I could change the packaging, but because it's instant noodles, it needs that bowl shape and it needs that thick cardboard so it can hold boiling water. It's designed to go on the go. So I thought if I use something that has thin packaging or that's unrealistic, I wouldn't be able to use it. So I just found some mockups that I bought ages ago and just used the same standard package to do those noodles in, and yeah, it turned out good. And then I started going into Photoshop and working on that and playing around. So as you can see, I went into Photoshop, I got the mockup that I selected and I started playing around with it, you know, going in and selecting the image that I wanted. I found a ramen image on Unsplash that I really liked, so I decided to go into Photoshop, use the pen tool and actually start cutting that out so I could use it. I also went and cut out the logo. I didn't want to change any of the colors or redesign the logo because I was just doing the package today, and I kept that as a rule. So I just left that logo, cut that out, and then I started cutting out the actual food that I was going to use for the photography element. And yeah, it's a bit tedious, this process, but you know, if you just put a bit extra effort to cut it out, then it can really work well. And as you can see, I started to edit the levels and played around with the color balance and all that stuff to adjust it to get it the way I wanted. And I didn't like that blue bowl, so I changed that as well to make it just like a dark color eventually. And I can start playing around with typography, started just going through my type list on my fonts and started looking at ones that will really work, you know, that was still can be simple and readable and legible, and that was very clear, but also had a vibe of like, you know, instant noodles, a bit, you know, not too playful and not too serious, so in between that. And you can see as I'm slowly adjusting stuff, sizing and playing around, and you can see I have my mock-up there so I can see how it's looking like, so I can
constantly be adjusting and seeing how it actually looks on the package. And as you can see, started adding some color, started putting in some hierarchy, using all the same elements on the original package. So all the type, or like the roast pieces and all that information that was originally on there, I just used that. I didn't add anything, and just editing using shapes, using some, you know, color blocking with the orange and the white shapes there to really make it clear and readable. So if people are scanning the product, they can really see what it is and what they're getting out of the product. So you can see as I'm going on here, I started to add a bit of texture. I went online, searched mochi texture, which is like a Japanese paper texture. I literally just first searched up Japanese paper texture, and then this mochi texture came up, and I selected that. You can see in the back, it just adds a bit of that texture, you know, because we want that feel, you know, we want that authentic feel, so it feels like that bit of heritage coming back through that texture. So that's why I made that decision. And you can see here is the final result. It's looking really cool. It looks way better than the original, and I'm really pleased with it, and it looks super cool.
So there we have it, from this package to the new package, as you can see in the image there. And I did another version as well. I was just playing around with it. So overall, it took me about 4 to 5 hours to do the 2 designs, you know, doing a bit of research, going and getting some inspiration, the jumping into Photoshop and actually doing the design. So that's how long it took, and it was actually fun doing it. And I encourage you guys to do it and like challenge yourself. Like, even though if you're not comfortable doing packaging, just like try and do it. You know, it's, for me, it was the first time doing a packaging challenge, and I found it like really beneficial because I'm like learning from it, and I get to see my ideas like come to fruition and see how it plays out. But yeah, so it was a productive day. I'm really happy with the result. Hopefully, like, it looks a bit more premium, but not too premium. And sometimes it's just about doing an evolution, not a revolution. So we don't want to change it too much, but we just want to, you know, boost it up and make it more legible, readable, make the design more clear, and make it, you know, represent a bit better market. And the thing was, because it was instant noodles, it's still like instant noodles, so it's considered a cheap product. So I didn't want to make it too premium. But it did cost $4. So because it's more closely to ramen, it's got like pork flavors. It's one of the more expensive noodles out there. So yeah, the typography was messed up. It didn't like reflect that and stuff. And yeah, the layout was just weird. And I think even the text even like looked stretched a bit on some bits. Like there's like 4 or 5 different fonts on there. Like, it's weird, but.
So here's a little bonus version that I did. I had some extra time, and I just thought like might as well just do another extra one. You can see I try to go for a more natural feel with this one, using like paper textures and stuff like that, and just making it more minimal without photography in it. And you can see here I started doing like a little noodle pattern, and I played around in Illustrator and then brought it into Photoshop. I kept the same packaging because I felt like that was necessary. So I just left that, and as you can see, a bit of my process here. So I'm just rushing through this one. I tried to do it in like less than 30 minutes or an hour. Just keep it really short and see how quick I can do another version. But mainly just doing it for experimentation. But you can see here, I was just going through finding some paper textures that I already had on my computer. And you can see here, I try to keep some of the same elements, but played around with the type, added icons on this one, and using similar colors. But I didn't use the orange anymore. I just used a light palette. But you can see that this version looks nice as well. As you can see here, I finally changed the bottom part. The white wasn't working, so I changed it to orange just to add back of that initial color to just differentiate it from other packages that it originally had. So I wanted to retain that, and then this is the final design for that one. So you can see that looks kind of different.
Yeah, let me know in the comments below if this was useful. If you like seeing this type of process, because then I'm probably going to do another one maybe in the future on a different package. And yeah, tell me if it actually looks better or it doesn't. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hit like, and also subscribe for more designing content every week.